Okay, my name is Nate.
My name is Sydney.
This is my wife,
This is my husband.
and this is the 11 podcast. Okay, so we are back for the third episode. Today's topic will be childhood trauma or just trauma in general, and ways to heal from it, and ways to avoid allowing yourself to get into that fearful or stress state of being. All right. So starting out, I guess we can start with what is trauma. So I would say trauma is anything. I feel like starting from the point of when you were born, just like how you were programmed, just in today's society, like um, from when you're born and they take you from your mother, like you're not having that initial uh, connection for the duration that you're supposed to. Um, and then just growing up, like the environment that most of us grow up in is traumatizing, and growing up in environments that aren't necessarily humane, but having to survive in those environments. Um, and then we get into, you know, certain events that happen in our lives that also create trauma. Even for those who may think that they had a decent childhood, like they were never necessarily poor, but they still were in circumstances or experienced things that can have take a mental toll on you, um, whether you notice it or not. So that's what trauma is. For me, would you agree? You have anything to add?
I agree. I didn't think as far back as being born.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a good point. But yeah, I agree for the most part.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so do you want to get into our traumas or what? Okay.
Nothing specific, I said,
Nothing.
but
Okay. So yeah,
for me at least, I don't know about
okay.
you.
Yeah. So, um, I would say for me, growing up, I can remember. I can remember. Sorry if you guys hear running around. That's our cats. But I can remember, um, my mother and father being together for a short period of time when I was younger. But they eventually split. A little bit after, or I think they split before my sister was born, and then again after my sister was born. Um, and then there was some time, not that long, maybe like a year or so that I didn't hear from my dad. So, yeah, that time period. But eventually we got back in contact with our father, so he would get us every weekend or every other weekend or so, up until I was like 9, and then that's when we moved to California. But before that, before moving to California, um, a period of actually a good, um,
They're going crazy.
yeah, 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 they're playing tag, but a good period of my childhood, I did experience like being homeless and stuff, with my sister and my mother, just going from shelter home to shelter home and whatnot. We would have an apartment, in between, but other than that, for the most part, I can just remember being in shelter homes and like staying at my grandmother's house, or like getting up early, getting dropped off at my grandma's house to go to school and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I think when I was younger though, like it was normal. So like when I was younger, I never felt the effects. I think when you're young, they say like ages 1 to 7 is like when a child is like,
The most important.
yeah, like that's when they're programmed for the most part, and then
Yeah.
everything after that is like that the after effects
What
of
they've learned.
what they've learned from up to that point, right? So I think for me it was just like it was normal. Like I was just I was just I was just a kid, you know.
Yeah.
So I thought life was just life. I didn't know I was poor. I didn't know, like, you know, I didn't have anything to compare it to until I got older, you know. So, but yeah, and then once we moved to California, we stayed in San Bernardino County. So, my mother was in a relationship at that time, so she ended up marrying that person. But it wasn't bad. But my mom dealt with a lot of domestic violence, even from before we moved to California. Just pretty much my whole childhood up until I moved back to Virginia, which is when I was 14, turning 15, starting my sophomore year of high school. So yeah, that's when we met each other too. So yeah, up until that point, she had dealt with that. So yeah, experiencing that. But I think after that,
11.
you know, I think after that though, I think when we came back home is when the effects of everything up until that point started to actually, I started to notice like the like after effects of
Aftermath.
yeah, the aftermath of going through those things. Like I said, when I was younger, I didn't really feel any type of way about anything, and then maybe like from the time I moved to California up until I moved back home is when like it was just like traumatizing going through everything because I was aware of everything now, you know. So, and then dealing with the aftermath of all that stuff, moving back home. But I will say, I do think why do y'all want to do all this when we start?
So you think I have a question.
Okay.
So you think you started feeling everything like when you got back here? Like what happened with the military and stuff? Like you felt.
Oh, yeah. I guess I didn't get that, but I think I start to feel the aftermath of certain things, but I feel like I never dealt with it because I feel like you were, like you said, I met you around that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gonna, that's where I was gonna go. I was gonna say I appreciate the friend group that I had because those are like the people who kept me up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like you, along with my friend group, that got me through high school. I feel like so. It wasn't until I was dealing with the aftermath, but I never really had to deal with it because I had
Other things going on.
not like
Other things to keep your mind off of.
Yeah, like I had people around me to keep my mind off of those things. So, it wasn't until I was by myself when I joined the military that I had to deal with all that stuff by myself.
Yourself.
So yeah. So but yeah, I do appreciate my friend groups. And plus, I never had any friends who were like, you know, just like doing crazy stuff. And the ones I did, I never really like hung out with too much to the point where it's like that I became like I got influenced by it. So so yeah, and then of course you you got me through a lot. Like you made me want to be, as I've told you before, you made me want to hold myself up to a certain standard because it's like I knew you wouldn't. I could tell you were a good girl. like it's like I knew I had to hold myself to a certain standard to even be able to talk to you.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I don't think I had high standards. I just think
yeah.
I just wanted to be treated.
I don't think you had high standards. Just it's like when you go to a white person's house, you gonna talk with your white boy. It was like, it's not like I talk with my white. I was still myself with you, but like I carried myself a different way. Like you made me a better person. Like you made me want to be a better person. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was that. But I'll get more into detail. But that's pretty much my childhood, I guess. Of course, there's other stuff, but you know, I'm not gonna share everything. So, but yeah, that's the gist. So.
Okay. I guess I can talk about my trauma. I guess from as far as I can remember, I think my trauma started with like my mom and my dad.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was born, my dad wasn't like really in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually he came around, and basically my dad took my mom to court. My dad won. So like I was taken from my mom to live with my dad. That's something I still haven't gotten over, and it really like affected me from, I don't even know, I want to say like from the ages, I don't know what age I was when it happened, but I say from 1 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
It affected me because I saw my mom like 1 week in a month, every other holiday. I didn't have a phone, so I couldn't call her. Like I had to ask my dad to call her. Sometimes he would tell me no.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like I'm used to being with somebody that I love, and then having to like not having a choice and having to go stay with my dad.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even really with my dad. I was with my grandma like most of the time. So I don't know. That was like the first traumatizing thing that happened to me. But it's made me a very angry person, and I'm trying to become unangry.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
All right.
I don't really know how to go deep into that, but
No, that's good enough. I definitely understand that. I was saying, when we talked about this before, just that connection with your mother, just for a child to have that connection with their mother is very important. I mean, both are very important, but like, it's different, you know.
mm-hmm.
Like that's your mother, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like that's the nurturing parent. Like if you don't have that.
And you were just telling me like you found it weird like when you met me that I was closer to my mom than I was with my dad because I live with my dad.
Yeah.
But it's just like you said, my mom provided me with the emotional
right
part of it
mm-hmm.
that my dad just didn't know how to do.
Yeah.
And that I wasn't getting from like anybody on my dad's side, to be honest.
Right. No, I definitely understand that. I was gonna say, I think not living with my dad, cause I grew up with my mom, so I had that nurturing for all of my childhood. I would say, like, like I was an emotional kid, so like, and I feel like that came from growing up with my mother. So not having my dad around, it was like I learned a lot on my own. But my mom did get married again when I moved to California. So that masculine figure that did play a role in my life. He wasn't the best person, but that presence of just having a man, around, good or bad, And I was telling her this, like, it's kind of messed up, like, because even though, like, going through the stuff that me, my sister, and my mother went through, it's like it wasn't always good, but like it's like taking the stuff that wasn't good and it's like finding the light in it. So but yeah, like it just gave me that sense of like I don't know how to put it. How did I say it before? Like experiencing so much to the point where it breaks you. So like
You're away
now,
from the lowest point you've ever
yeah.
been, or
So
you
it's
think
like
about.
you've been at your lowest point. So it's like, okay, I've been through all this. So it's like nothing. I feel like nothing can break me, honestly. Um, so it's like it broke me down, but kind of built me back up and made me who I am today at the same time. Um, but I think not having my biological father in my life, is something I wish I had. Um, he was always there, like definitely monetary wise. Birthdays, with sending stuff and whatnot. Um, but having him present physically, I wish that was something I had. But I will say my dad always, anytime I did get to spend time with him, like especially when I moved back home, my sophomore year, uh, and I got to see him more often. The times that I did spend with him was definitely uh, good quality, um, because the things that my dad preached to me when I was around him, like um, I feel like stuck with me, and it's a big part of the reason of why I am who I am today. But I feel like I feel like I always kind of been me, but like he kind of um, just made sure little things stuck in my head so that later in life I would get it. So, which today I do. Um, but yeah, it's like a blessing and a curse. So like you go through everything, but
You see the good and bad in everything. I just see the bad. As far as my trauma goes, like you've grown from your trauma because you can see the good and the bad that
yeah,
it's provided. I guess for you, I don't really know, but
I think. Go ahead.
I haven't. I didn't really. I was an emotional kid. I'm still emotional because I wasn't allowed to express my emotions or like vocalize my like feelings. So I held everything in, and I would just like cry. But
Yeah, I used to be that way. Like you can ask someone, like I used to just cry about everything, especially when I was younger. Like before, I would say like halfway through middle school up until that point, I would I was very emotional. Like I was a super emotional kid, and I was the oldest of four. I had two step siblings, and then my little sister, and I was the oldest of four. So, I got like chastised a lot, and I was always the one in trouble for everything, just being the oldest. So, if somebody does something, my name gets called, and then I get questioned about why so and so did this and why I wasn't there, why I didn't correct them. So, um, and that's just how it was. So, um, but yeah, so I was always just emotional because of that. Because I was like, dang, like why am I always getting in trouble for something somebody else did and da da da. Um, so yeah, I would just cry a lot. So, but I think as I got into high school, once I turned 14, because that's when I had my first job. Excuse me. But I moved around a lot. I moved around a lot in my childhood. Like I said, I moved to California. I was 9, and then in between those times, like we moved kind of, like we came back home at one point, and then we moved back, and we lived in North Dakota for a period of time because the person that my mom was a truck driver, so he had a job up there, for a period of time. And when I lived up there is when I got my first job, because up in North Dakota you can get your permit, your driving permit at like 15, and you can start working at 14. So that's exactly what I did. I started working as soon as I could, so I could play sports and stuff. Um, so yeah, I had got me a job, so like I can buy like shoes and stuff and things of that nature without depending on anybody. And I think after that, after I started like taking care of myself and kind of like getting a taste of what it is to like do for myself and not ask like my mom for anything, um it kind of made me more independent and less emotional. Because I was focused on sports and going to work. So like I wasn't home, so I was able to take my mind off for certain things and avoid certain situations. So like I remember telling my mom at one point like I'd rather, because when I was younger I used to love going to school, and I would cry if I couldn't go to school. And I remember when I was a little bit older, I told my mom I rather I told her that I like going to school so much because I felt safer at school than at home, which is crazy to say, but like I felt more at ease at school than I did at home. So, but because I started working and I was playing sports and stuff, I was really never at home besides like dinner time and to go to sleep and then get up and go back to school. So, um, that's when I felt better and I was starting to like make friends and stuff. Cause I had friends when we did live in California, Arizona and stuff. I did, I did live in Arizona too. I didn't mention that, but I did have friends, but at that point, I didn't have like real friends. Like I didn't have, uh, I didn't. I felt like I didn't have like real friends because some of my friends did. I remember I had like my first best friend. He stole from me before, so that relationship didn't last long, and I really only had like two more best friends that was like brothers to me after that point. Like I knew their mom, they knew my mom, they came over for dinner. I went to their house for dinner, stayed the night, like stuff like that. I only had like two more best friends after that. So when I did finally move back to Virginia, that hurt because like those like brothers to me. So, but nevertheless, I'm getting off track. Um, as I was able to spend more time away from home, I felt better. So, yeah.
You felt better because you were occupied with other things.
Yeah, like I was occupied, so like I didn't have time.
You didn't really feel better.
Yeah, like, it's how I said when I moved back here. Like I had friends and stuff. You know, I was playing basketball and stuff, so I had things to take my mind away from certain things. You know.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking like, when I was in I want to say primary school and intermediate school, I used to get D's and E's.
Yeah.
I used to get D's and E's, and I used to get beat for it.
Yeah.
And they would always ask me like, why can't you get it? Like, are you stupid?
Yeah.
And I would get beat for it. And like, I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, maybe that's just because I wasn't with my mom. Like, maybe it's just because I was focused on other things. Like, I didn't care to get, even though I did get beat for it, and it did hurt, but like, that's not where my mind was, like, where it was.
Yeah.
But then, like, once I started seeing my mom more, as soon as I hit middle school and high school, I was getting A's and B's. That's the only thing I got. Okay. So I feel like that's because I was seeing my mom more. Yeah. I was, like, in sports. I was in clubs. Like, yeah. I was, like, in activities that you had to have, like, a high GPA to be in.
Right. Yeah, because most sports, like, most of the time when you start playing sports, they, like, you can't have below a C.
I mean, yeah, but I would, like, I'm striving for better than a C.
Right. But I'm saying, like, that's what makes you get your grades, because I can't relate. When I was younger, I used to get in trouble a lot. Like, first grade, you know, elementary, I was, like, considered class clown. Like, I would act out in class and stuff.
Really?
But, again, I feel like it just come from your childhood. Like, I think the kids who got it bad at home, like, they not going to be able to perform well in school, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, I was bad when I was younger in school. And then, but again, as I got older and, like, start playing sports and stuff, that's when I started to do better in school as well. But, my bad. Go ahead. So, yeah, I started to do better. But, yeah, I can relate to that. But, okay.
I'm trying to think of what else, like, I've dealt with that's trauma besides, like...
My mother, father issues.
I think that's been my whole childhood, honestly. Like, besides what I told you the other day, but...
Yeah, I think you being a female, like your relationship, I feel like your relationship with your mother and father is just very important. One, because for any child, boy or girl, again, that nurturing um parent is just so important. And then, and then especially just the a dad is like the protector, so it's like you never feel, if you don't have that in your life, it's like you don't have anybody to teach you just the masculine side of life.
I don't really know. Do we not see that?
Or to, and I think it's also important to have, for a girl to have a father in her life, to be shown how to be treated, like, so she can have that example of a woman being taken care of the right way, and also being taught the right things about life. As in one of my other videos I said, like, I feel like the purpose of the masculine is to provide knowledge, not only like provide protection and a roof over the head and whatnot, but knowledge is very important. Just to know how to maneuver in this world that we live in is so important, and to know who you are is important. So, yeah. For a boy too, as a boy not having a father too.
I think when I was with my mom, I would be with her for like 3 days of the month, and then like I would feel everything that I felt like I was missing, and then I would have to go back to my dad's house, and yeah, he was providing for me like financially, and I don't know.
Just that.
I just didn't feel like the emotional support. I didn't feel.
Right.
We didn't say I love you. Like, to this point, to this day, it's so weird to say I love you to him. Like, wow. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't say it a lot.
Wow. Yeah. That's deep, though. That's really deep, because that's so important. I'm sorry to hear that. Like, my mom's, her relationship with her mom is the same way. Like, she said her mom never even said it. And, but yeah, they had, like, their relationship was bad, but, yeah, that's deep, though. But, yeah, I guess, but yeah, y'all get the gist. Everybody has their own story, I guess. I want to get into the next, subtopic. But yeah, and I'm sure the point is everybody has their own
background, upbringing.
Yeah, their own traumas. Like, some people have lost a parent, some people have just experienced just crazy stuff. Like,
what you've been through is more common than not. So don't think you're the only person.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, some people feel alone in this world. They like, dang, I done been through so much. It's like, and we just be stuck in our own heads. But I feel like when you really talk to people and open up more, you start to realize that it's a lot of people just like you. So
people that are close to you that
you
think.
Like your best, like, people got best friends that they don't really know nothing about, but just just have these type of conversations with your friend groups or the people you talk to on a daily basis, and you may find that you guys are probably more alike than you think. Besides, like,
what you like, what
the
you
outside,
don't like.
like the stuff you are
what
into.
music you listen to.
Yeah, so we got company, so we'll be right back. Just give us a sec. All right, we're back. I forgot where we were at.
Moving on to the next subtopic.
Yeah, we're moving on to the next subtopic. Okay, so as much as we can talk about childhood traumas and dwell in the bad, really the point of this video, I want to get into focusing on the good and taking what you've been through and turning it into light. As I said,
he's gonna be more talking more than me in this part because you've gotten over your traumas.
Babe, you're hitting the mic.
I'm sorry, guys. You've gotten over your traumas. I have not. I'm working on it, so I don't really have much to say. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like it's very important not to dwell in the bad things of the past and the present, and the possible future, because sometimes we get anxiety over things that haven't happened yet. But um,
Mm.
and I'll talk about how I got over a lot of my traumas. So um, she mentioned when I went into the military and stuff. So that's when I really had, I was like actually by myself to like, again, I was forced to like go back and sit with myself and like think about all the things I've been through. So um, I joined the military right after high school. Left, went through basic. Basic was cool. Um, After that, I finally went through AIT and then went to my duty station. And when you get there, the army is not the best branch, so the barracks are pretty trash. Um, I remember like, I think it was like the first month, like it was a rat in my, not a rat, but a
A
mouse
mouse.
in my room. And then it happened again once because my roommate was deployed when I first got into my barracks room. So um, when he got back, he went in his room. It was his room. So yeah, they literally looked like just little like prison blocks, honestly, just without a cell, without a cage door on it. It's like,
Basically.
but yeah, because you've been there before. So it's like tile floors, little 15 by 15 foot room, just about. So
It's
probably less than that, like
not
15,
15
yeah,
foot.
maybe like 15 by 8 foot room. But yeah, so
Mm.
being in there is very depressing.
No,
I would
be
go to,
specific.
I would really just like go to work, then come back and play video games and do the things of a person with really no life does. So um so yeah, like I feel like I was just in my lowest moment at that point in life, and you would think it's like, dang, I just joined the military, I'm doing some good stuff with my life. And like, yeah, it was cool being a medic at first, especially going through AIT when you really learning everything, like, because you're engaged and you're focused and you're applying yourself. But once you get to your duty station, it's not the same. Like, everything you learn in school is like not really applied unless you're like in an infantry unit or something. um but I was just in a regular medical unit, so I was doing drop zone coverages and just stuff where you kind of pulling surveillance basically, and then just waiting for somebody to get hurt. But if nobody get hurt, you're not really doing nothing. So um pulling coverage is what they call it, medical coverage. But yeah, um that's not the point. The point is, that's when I was by myself, so I had a lot of memories, flashbacks, and it was kind of depressing, and um I got to that depressed state. So like, I would just go to work, come to my room, go to work, come to my room, go to work, come to my room, and I didn't care to make new friends really. Like, of course, I talked to the people in my unit, but I never cared to make new friends or like let people know stuff about me, because again, like I'm sure nobody would like just meet somebody and be like just want to make new friends after you've already grown. Especially being like one of three black people in my unit, like, so yeah. But yeah, and I realized it got to a point where I started to have really bad anxiety, and and so yeah, and I was already like a shy, quiet person. Like, you can ask my friends, like, I'm really like just a laid back, chill person. And so then you can imagine like that type of person with anxiety is like even worse. So um yeah, and I started to have anxiety attacks, and I didn't know what it was at first. So like, it's different. I think it's like maybe 12 different symptoms, common symptoms with people who have anxiety attacks. So it's not the same for everybody, but for me, I would get like just like hot flashes, and my heart rate would increase, my breathing would change up. I would feel just super tense, and I would get like fiery pins and needle feelings um, throughout different parts of my body, sometimes my whole body. So that would happen just like multiple times throughout the whole day, and I would have to um, get to like separate myself from whatever group I was in to like get myself together, like go to the bathroom or whatever, and just take a second to calm myself down. And I remember like anytime I would get hot as well, just anytime my body would get hot is when it would happen as well. Um, but I feel like it was like a psychological thing. Like I knew the feeling of what it was to have the anxiety attack. So if I was in an environment that gave me those similar feelings, like I said, I would get the hot flash. So if I was even hot in a room, just like from outside temperature, I would start to feel it because it's like I don't know what it was. It was just like I don't know. I swear it was just like a psychological thing. But yeah, I tried to go get it checked out and whatnot, and they wouldn't tell me. But I knew it was anxiety. Like, and then eventually they tried to tell me it was like an allergy or something. They was telling me
Yeah, take this medicine.
like you have a heat allergy, but that didn't sound right to me really. Um, so but I know, like I told them like I think it's anxiety and stuff. So, but nobody really ever came to like talk to me, yeah, or like send me to somebody who could help me understand what's going on with me.
You meant more than once, right?
What do you? Yeah.
Okay.
And so yeah, after that point, I took it upon myself to just like really think about like what I wanted to do with my life, and I had to think about like okay, well, I don't know how I'm going to improve myself. I'm not just gonna be in this state forever. So I end up reading a book when I did finally come back home. In February of 2022, and I read a book called The Body Keeps a Score, and that book really helped me understand a lot about psychology, like how your brain works, and in relation to trauma and events in your life. And like the way that book just broke down so many things, it gave so many gems. And then once I was able to understand, I was able to heal, because I understood. So I think sometimes it's not even the uh, the events themselves that cause us to be in so much pain over time. I think it's just that because we don't understand why we feel that way. You get what I'm saying? It's like yeah, you're sad or you're depressed, and the memory. It's like it's because these thoughts are going through your head, but it's like this happened so long ago. Why am I still feeling this way? But once you start to understand how trauma works and how past events affect you, then you're able to understand how to um, deal with it, and not let things of the past affect your present.
I honestly think people just need to find time to like slow down because I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like you're not gonna know that something's affecting you if you don't slow down and actually live through it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So once you actually slow down, then you start to feel
Right.
what's actually happened to you, and then you
Right.
feel like something's wrong when something's been wrong this whole time.
Right, and that's what it was for me. Like because I was by myself so much, I started to realize that okay, I like something's wrong, and I need to deal with it instead of like running from it, because I wasn't the type of person to like do drugs or anything, or like do things that took me away from myself. I've always been true to myself. I've never been easily peer pressured into doing stuff. So I did get into a point where I started drinking. Um, just being in the barracks, like in the army, like that's what people do. Um, so it's like when you want something to do, you like, all right, cool. I'll come over and hang out with y'all. So, so that kind of started to happen. But again, I knew to pull myself away from that because that's not me, and because of my childhood, like when I was like a little kid, my mom was with a drunk before, so I definitely just didn't ever want to be that type of person. So I definitely stayed away from drinking. I definitely started to like pull away from drinking once I realized like, okay, this is not for me. This is not the person I want to be. Um, but yeah, like she said, once you start to just kind of slow down, you start to be able to focus on your inner self and be able to heal that inner self. I was gonna touch on that. Go ahead.
I also think like when I first started feeling like depressed,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what it was. Like I'm just
Mm-hmm.
in this slump like
Yeah.
for this long
Yeah. That's
time
how it
like,
is. Yeah.
and then I don't think I really figured it out until like you started mentioning stuff like
Mm-hmm.
you need to do this, you need to do that. Well, have you done this? Have you done that? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So I was gonna say,
like I always knew the whole thing that happened with my mom and dad was like, okay, that's something that happened. That's something that affected me. But I didn't think I needed to like
yeah, like it's
deal with it like
like
that.
that's just the surface, but you don't even understand like the underlying,
Yeah.
like after effects of experiencing that stuff. Yeah, definitely. So, but yeah, that's how it is. I used to be a person that didn't even believe in depression. Like I didn't think, like I would hear about it, and because like I said, like I had people around me to not even let me drift off into that mind state. So, I didn't even believe into it until I experienced it, and I was like, damn, I do understand this. But then, like I said, I started to understand what I was going through. Um, but it really is just about acknowledging it and saying like, okay, I something is wrong and I want to do something about it. Um, Sometimes we choose to uh, create distractions for ourselves to so we don't have to feel depressed. And then when we do feel depressed, we find like crutches, temporary band-aids for when we do feel depressed, instead of just fixing the whole thing together. And that's really important. So like some people, when they're stressed, everybody has something that they do when they're stressed. When they're stressed, you find that relief. You find something to get you back to that love frequency, that high frequency of not being. And stress is the lowest frequency, so that's what the word relief means. So, and I made a video about this on Instagram, but yeah, we find things to relieve our stress. So, and some of us have good things, some of us have bad things, and I
Wait,
think
pause. Sorry. So you said stress is the lowest frequency. That's a fact.
yes, like fear, stress, ego, those are low frequency. Like that's like your lowest self. Like,
So you think if you've been in, for me, I feel like I've been in that vibe like frequency.
uh,
I feel like I've been in that frequency for like a while. So do you think if you've been in that frequency for a while, it's gonna be hard for you to get out of it?
yes, I was also gonna say another thing. Um, yeah, but yeah, hold on. I'll go back to what I was gonna say after. I'll answer your question. Yes. I think that the longer you sit in it, the worse it's gonna get because you create again those crutches. Like it becomes like a habit. It's like
I stress eat when I'm stressed.
yeah, okay, so yeah, it's like once you like when you feel like that, it's like, all right, I already know what I can do to feel better. I already know what I can do to feel better. And you've never even tried to venture off to try to fix the issue itself or find new ways to relieve your stress because it's a quick fix.
Right.
So, yeah, it definitely is hard to get out once you create those habits because the more and more you do something, the more and more of a habit it becomes, and that's where addictions creep in. So, but yeah, what was I gonna say though?
Honestly, don't even think like I haven't been stress eating all my life. I think it's when I moved in with my grandma after my dad moved.
Mm-hmm.
All I did was like go to work, go home, do schoolwork, eat in my room, sleep like I was in my room all day after work. Like
Yeah, that's not good. but it's okay. This is a healing year.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
but uh, oh, should you tell them like, I mean, you're gonna start therapy? Do you want to share that?
I guess,
I
yeah.
mean, I
I
think
mean,
that's
I
something you
think me
should.
saying that I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Yeah,
I'm working on getting into therapy and stuff like
yeah, definitely. So when y'all watch our videos, don't think we perfect. We pretty much just y'all pretty much on a journey while we grow,
that.
but
Yeah.
we also gonna share stuff with y'all to help y'all start y'all journey too. So, um, but yeah, um, I keep losing track of where I was. Oh yeah, so stress, why it's so important to venture out and heal. Some people are able to do it by themselves, like myself, and some people may need to go speak to somebody. Um, so, but the reason it's so important to do that is because if you stay in that fear or stress or ego state, you know, um, that's low frequency. Like that's the lowest chakra you can be at, and you'll never experience being at a higher frequency of self love. Um, and I didn't like the person I am today. Like the person I am today compared to the person I was like a year ago or 2 years ago. I didn't imagine myself as this person. You know,
Yeah.
like you don't even. That's why you just gotta start because you don't know. You never experienced it, so you don't know who you could be. And I think a big part of it is one, your environment. So like if you're constantly if your environment is already traumatic, you're never going to be able to even think about what you would do. You wouldn't be able to think about healing that trauma if you're still in a traumatic environment. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing. I think you got to look at your situation in life and then uh, think about how to get out of that. You know, um, the best way possible, like without putting yourself through, you know, a lot more trauma. Um, just a way to change your environment. Whether you gotta pick up and just move with another family member, you know, just to like take yourself away from certain things, you know. Um, I think environment is super important. I heard this analogy. I was listening to Billy Carson. I don't know if y'all know who that is, but I was listening to this analogy, and it was like if a deer is getting chased by a wolf, it's never going to be able to just be a deer, like just be by itself. It's never going to be able to just be a deer without being chased by a wolf. You know what I'm saying? So, but once it stops getting chased by the wolf, it'll be able to just be a deer. You know what I'm saying? So if you're constantly going through traumatic experience, you'll never be able to just be you because you're always trying to maneuver through your environment. So that's one of the first steps that needs to be taken is looking at your environment and asking yourself, is this environment healthy for me? Am I able to grow in this environment? You know, you put a snake in a small aquarium, it's only going to grow to the size of that tank. Put it in a bigger one, it'll be able to grow. So if you don't expose yourself to a different environment, you won't be able to grow. Um, and whether that maybe you might not need to go in there, maybe you just need to stop going to the places that you are going to, or stop hanging out with the people you're going to that you hang out with. And then after that is just again choosing to go the therapy route or choosing to do the research on things, like just sit with yourself and um, have the conversation with yourself, you know, and see what you feel, and then do research on exactly what you feel, and um, put the pieces together. Um,
I do want to say, like, I don't forgot what we were talking about when I thought about this, but
hmm.
I don't think I would have gotten into, like, herbs and plants and stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
if you hadn't like started learning what you were learning.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like it was
Yeah.
always in me, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
have. I just wouldn't have done
Yeah.
it if
No, I
you
definitely agree
weren't
with that.
doing what you were doing.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with that.
Like I wouldn't know that
But
it
that's
interests me.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's why that's why it is important for like as a man you should always be elevating your mind, um, mind over matter, like mind over material things. That's what I believe. I feel like if I'm good in my mind, then I'm straight. Like I don't need anything material. I don't need material things to make me feel good. Like a lot of men feel like, oh, I got a
Yeah.
car, big house, I got money. I'm more of a man than you are. But like, nah. Like, is your mind right? Like my mind is right. Like I said, like I don't feel like nothing could break me. So that's what makes me feel good about myself because I know who I am. Um, but yeah, to back to what you said though, about the herbs and stuff. Also, not only environment but changing who you are. So if you don't know, it's like the saying, "You are what you eat." That is true. Like of course, like they kind of show you like in cartoons, like uh, you eat an apple, you turn into like no, it's not like you eat an apple, you're gonna turn into an apple, but you are what you eat. The cells in your body, in your blood, um, it reproduces.
Sorry. You're connecting like what you eat to your mental health, right?
Right.
Okay.
And actually, you have two. You basically have um, two like minds basically. Like you have your actual mind, but your gut health is important too. That's why you get gut feelings. And if you're eating the wrong things, that's gonna mess up your gut. So like you can't even depend on your gut feeling or intuition to guide you through life. So that's why nutrition is so important and putting the right things in your body, putting living foods in your body, because you're eating all these dead things, and that's why you feel that way. Okay, so
Wait,
um,
listen. Okay, sorry. But I just had this thought. Okay, so before we started learning this stuff, we would go out and we would eat like we didn't eat meat, but we would still eat like unhealthy things.
yeah, go ahead.
So before when I would eat unhealthy things, before I even knew like the stuff that you're teaching me,
Hmm.
I felt good. Like after I ate, like
Yeah,
I ate what I wanted and I felt good after it. But now that I know it's not good for me, I have a craving and then I eat it and I feel sick after.
right. It's cause when you, it's because you've elevated yourself. You know, like you're not on that low chakra, and even though sometimes you are, you still have knowledge of it. So it's like
Yeah.
you know you know that you're aware of it now. Like you've experienced eating healthy now. So when you try to even go back to it, it's not the same. But when you're living in that state and you eat those foods, it feels good. That's because you're at that
That's
state.
because ever since we did that 1 week fresh fruits and veggies all
Hmm.
week, after that,
And nothing was the same.
nothing
Right.
like everything made me feel sick.
Right.
Still to this day.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. So when if you're at that low state and you're eating those low level foods with no energy in them, then of course you're able to feel good because you're in that state. Um, but once you elevate, you can't go back to eating that stuff because you're not there anymore. So, um, but yeah, that's why it's so important. If you wanna heal yourself, changing what you eat as well. Um, I always say like diet, like what you intake, which is not only what you eat, but what you listen to, what you watch. Like I'll be watching movies and stuff, and it'll get to like gun scenes and just crazy stuff, and like I'll turn it off, and like that's really how disciplined you have to be with yourself until you get to a point where it's natural, and your gut feeling is able to guide you the right way. Your intuition, your gut feeling is just your intuition. So is able to guide you the right way. So when I watch stuff on TV, if it's like a whole bunch of just like gory stuff, I can't even watch it. Like it just makes me feel weird. Like I can't watch it because what you don't know is your subconscious can't tell the difference between what's real and what's not. So like your what you might watch it and say, okay, it's just a movie. But your subconscious does not know that. It still sees somebody getting their head cut off or somebody getting shot in the face. Like
That's why I don't like watching some like
yeah.
certain things have to do with black people and like what black people went through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch horror movies at all because I just don't like them. But when it comes to,
it's crazy because when I was younger, that's all I used to. I used to watch Chucky, Halloween, Jeepers Creepers.
I hate watching that type of stuff. Like
Jason,
he'll turn something on that's like rated R. If anything's rated R, I'm not watching it.
Yeah,
like I don't want to watch it.
Oh yeah,
but
that was my thing. But yeah.
When it comes to like stuff like that show you're trying to put on that night, what was it? I don't. Them is that called? That's what it's called. Them. It's about like black people that moved into a white neighborhood. I've seen previews on it, but it's like creepy type of thing.
Yeah.
Or people like.
Oh yeah.
I just don't like watching that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it just makes me feel bad. Right. Like I don't know. And I know what happened, but I don't want to watch it.
Right. And but yeah, your subconscious doesn't know the difference. And again, you might be able to watch that stuff and it feels okay now, but that if it feels okay to you, that's because you're still at that state. But once you start to elevate, when you experience these certain things, you get a feeling like this is not right, or like this is not good, like I shouldn't be doing this. Like you start to care about things like this, like
even the radio. I turn the radio on and I'm like,
yeah.
I turn the radio on for like 1 minute and I'm like, I don't want to listen to this.
Yeah, I remember the first like video I ever watched on like nutrition and like food and stuff. It was by a dude named Yaki, and he said like once he started like healing himself and growing as a person, he said he accidentally ran over a squirrel and almost cried, and like he said he never like was like emotional or any, like emotional type of person or anything, but as he grew and healed, like he started to care about life more.
Yeah.
And like it's really like I'm telling you, when you tap into certain things, you become a person that you never imagined you would be. You can be the most hood, thug person that you believe to be, but I'm telling you, like once you start to love yourself and heal, you will become somebody that you never thought you could become. And but that's nutrition wise. I was about to say something about the cells in your blood or something, but yeah, those reproduce every week. I believe the cells of your actual body and whatnot reproduce like every like 4 to 6 months. I want to say you can look it up though, but so literally, what you eat will literally become your whole body over the course of about 6 months, okay? So take that into mind. So if all you're eating is junk food and dead meat and stuff like that,
dairy,
yeah, over 6 weeks, that's literally what your body is like. Your cells are composed of all that stuff you ate.
I was watching a video and it was like this guy was like talking about like in vitro is that what it's called? Like when people get implanted or sperm implanted into them and they have babies like that. He was talking about how doctors like tell them, oh, I need this amount of money to help you have a baby, when really like it's what you eat. Like anybody can have a baby, but it's what you eat that's gonna like make the baby stay healthy, I guess, like
right.
prolong the pregnancy. So the doctor will just say, oh, give me this money, but not tell you what you need to be eating in order for you to get pregnant. That's all you need to do.
Everything nutrition. I be trying to tell you, like, y'all be, my mom be trying to, like, tell me certain things, and I be trying to tell her, like, Mom, I'm good. Like, I do my research, and I only intake things that are provided me knowledge on things of that topic, as far as eating right and staying healthy, because um, that's all it is. They don't want you to know that all you have to do is eat right, like, and mainly fruit. Like, if you ask me, what do I need for this? What do I need for that? I'm mostly like the best answer is fruit. Like, fruit is just the best thing you could ever eat.
We went to this place yesterday to eat, and they had like a wall of fame for a XXX. I don't know if there's anything in there. They had this wall of fame for a XXL burger. Like, doesn't it even, that just sounds nasty to me.
Yeah.
Like, why do you have a wall of fame for that?
Yeah, I made a post, I think today, but I was like whenever I see meat now, it's just disgusting. Honestly, like, it's really just nasty to me now. Like, I don't know. I couldn't imagine eating.
We're not supposed to be eating that. Like, when my mom first went vegan, I was like, oh, okay, good for her. Like, he's eating healthy. But I mean, I must still eat meat.
Yeah.
And then when I went vegan, I felt so, like, good, like, not eating meat.
Not vegan, but yeah.
Okay, when I first went vegetarian.
Yeah.
Vegetarian when I was working at Eucalyptus. I felt good. Like, I felt really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely.
And then I learned that's actually what we're supposed to be doing. Like, meat is not good for us.
Yeah, I think when people ask me, like, so what does it do for you? Do you, like, feel more energy and stuff? And I never knew how to answer that question until I started, because at first it just started with the eating right. Like, I didn't tap into, like, really why you're supposed to be eating right and really get into the science of it. But once I really started to learn that, now when somebody asks me, I can really explain to them, like, no, it's not just, like, oh, you feel good or it's more energy. Like, that's not even the purpose of eating healthy. It's really deeper than that. Like, your mind is just on a different level. Like, once you start to apply eating right with gaining the knowledge and, like, healing from trauma, like, all the pieces start to connect, and you just become this person that you never thought that you could be. And yeah, but yeah, that's for eating healthy. So changing your environment and changing how your diet, not only what you eat but what you intake and all of that stuff. And
changing what you watch.
Yeah, I was gonna go back to that. Changing what you like watching stuff too. And if you didn't know, so this is a fun fact. Do you know that I told you stress is the lowest level? So do you know that, you know how they like when you turn on the news, it's always bad stuff. They put out these, like, the movies are starting to become, like, more and more, like, real. Like, they start to look more and more real. Like, before, green screen stuff didn't look as real, so it was kind of just entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
But now everything is starting to look, like, way more real with the CGI stuff. So again, your subconscious can't tell the difference. And the music, the music we listen to and stuff, it's all meant to keep you in that stress state, that low, just fear and in stress. You don't know when you're gonna pay your next bill and stuff like that. Like, they, inflation. Like, yeah, you gotta raise, but everything done went up. Like, it's all meant to keep you at that low state. Okay, so, and with that being said, do you know that when you're about to have, like, surgery for something, for, like, an organ transplant, right? They induce you with stress hormones, and they do this because your immune system is hindered. Like, your immune system does not respond the same when you are under stress. Okay, so they're able to go in and put in somebody else's organ without your immune system trying to reject that organ because it's not yours. Okay, and naturally that's what your body would do. So they induce you with stress hormones so that they're able to perform the procedure. Okay, so, but that applies to real life. Okay, so stress, when your body releases stress hormones and you're always in that state that low level state of fear, stress, anxiety, just or like depression, your immune system is hindered. Your immune system does not respond the same way to certain things. So not only if you're eating bad or you're you know
in bad circumstances.
yeah, or just your diet is off, but your environment alone or just being in that low level mind state can hinder you from even just being healthy. So you might start eating good and still think like, well, why am I sick? Okay, well, it's because you're still releasing so many stress hormones just from your everyday life. So you have like it really takes for you to combine all these things that we're talking about, um, because I mean, and of course, like start with one thing. You don't gotta just do everything at one time.
Yeah, this may sound like a lot because it sounds like a lot to me right now.
I'm sorry.
I'm not even gonna lie.
I be rambling. I know I be talking a lot, but just start somewhere. But do know it takes all those things. Like you can't just remove yourself from your environment, but not do the work to actually grow. You can't just start eating healthy, but you still in the same environment. You know what I'm saying? Or doing the same things. So, yeah, that's really it.
You know what we should start doing?
What?
We should starting the video. Like you should say one fun fact, and I should say one fun fact. Like we can't tell each other what it is before the video.
Okay.
Like we have to learn something new
from each other.
Not from each other, separately, and then like teach it to each other in the beginning of the video.
Yeah, that's
or just say like this is something that I learned.
Okay.
Maybe we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Is there anything you could think to add?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. Well.
Hope you enjoyed the video.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Follow us on our social medias. I am Nate GB. Hold on one sec. I am Nate GB _ on Instagram.
I just realized what your Instagram name means.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
And yours?
That's in the section box below.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it.
Alright. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. This concludes episode 3 of the 11 podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.